Rams, Eagles, you go boom or you go bust. Ain't no in between. All chips to the middle in the NFL draft. All right, sports fans, you got a voice, you got a network. Grab your iPhone. Stop the excuses. We got the answer for you. And brutal news on the Mark Rodgers investment front this week. Hopefully, maybe the fantasy baseball news is a bit kinder, but I kind of doubt it. Welcome to the Mark and Macy Show. This is edition number 20, big 2-0, Macy. What do you think?
The big 2-0. It's gone quick. You know, it's like, just seems like every week it just comes quicker and quicker and quicker. But I love it because we're getting more people involved. We're getting great guests. We've had so many great things to talk about. So I love it.
What have you been doing with yourself this week besides not answering my emails?
I don't know, to be honest with you. Hockey, I guess.
Hockey?
Yeah, playoffs.
You've been swinging some golf clubs. I see that.
Oh, yeah. Picked up golf clubs again. I haven't picked up a club in probably a year and change. So to go out there and swing my 7-iron again felt really, really good. I'm super, super sore. It's good. I mean, I'll like it until I'm bad again, and then, I'll have no interest in it.
Until you're bad again? Like you're starting off good and you expect to get worse? Is that how that works?
Yeah, like the first time I ever picked up a golf club, no lesson, no anything, just from watching ESPN or the Golf Channel or anything, I was hitting these balls like way far, like without even trying or knowing what I was doing. But then once I like took lessons, and then they teach you like this is the correct way to really hold it, to stand this, that, my game kind of went, but then I'm kind of learning to pick it back up again. So right now I'm doing okay.
Yeah, you just hit on it. You're going to get worse before you get better, because it sounds like you're kind of a natural.
Yeah, no, I'm like way natural, which is way weird because I don't think a lot of other things come natural to me. I usually have to work for it. So it's kind of a good feeling, which is why I keep going and going and going, because I'm doing well. So once I'm not doing well and I start slicing it, my time will be back here.
All right, everybody. Again, welcome to the Mark and Macy Show. We've been doing this for 20 weeks. We talk sports each and every Thursday night right here on Blab, right about 6:45 Eastern time. And we mix it up on all fronts, talking sports, but who knows where the discussion goes from there. We start with our little outline right there, and then we go from there. And also, Macy, you made a demo reel this week. So check out Macy's demo reel. Go to her YouTube channel, Macy Golder.
Yeah,
it's really good.
Yeah, I've been waiting to finally put it all together. I wanted to put stuff from this show, but I've just been so crazy, and to sit through 20 episodes or 19 episodes of our show and all of our conversations was a little much, but our show will make it to the demo reel. So I promise. But I wanted to throw that out there, a little springtime, new me. Birthday's coming up next week, so try and start it early of getting on the right page for the next year.
Yeah, I was very impressed with the demo reel. So when are you going to start performing like that for us here? When? I
don't know. I mean, I'm still waiting for to be set up with.
I deserve that. I do deserve that. All right, we got a big show planned with the NFL draft coming up in just about a week from tonight. Yes, it is. The NFL Draft 2016 and the two big trades coming down over the past week with the Eagles and the Browns swapping picks, and also the Rams and the Titans, of course. We got Rick Serritella from the NFL Draft Bible. And I had Rick on Mark Rodgers TV a couple weeks ago, and the NFL Draft Bible. Does it get any more official than that? If you want to hear the word from on high in terms of what the NFL draft is all about and what the pick should be, you got to go to the NFL Draft Bible. So we bring Rick on hopefully very soon. Hopefully he doesn't get lost on Blab. I sent him the link. We also have a very cool thing that Macy found out about, let me know about today, called Fan Media Network. And if Rick doesn't jump on very soon, we'll just go ahead and bring Phil Taylor on to talk about Fan Media Network. This was really cool. I showed about 3 other people at work this today because it's just a tremendous idea. So, Phil, if you want to take a seat, we'll bring you on here.
Yeah, I just met Phil too, so I'm super excited to learn more about him, for you guys to learn more about him and what he does. And it's now something that I'm going to jump into. So I'm really looking forward to kind of jumping onto something while it's still new before it really takes off, because I know this is going to take off. I know this is something that's going big time. So I'm excited to be a part of this.
Hey, Phil, welcome to the Mark and Macy show.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me.
Hey.
How are you? I'm out here. I'm in the backyard today. I'm in Fort Worth, and it's about 75 degrees, just beautiful. So I figured I'd talk to y'all out here, if that's cool with you.
That was a good decision by you. It is beautiful here as well. I've been spending as much time outside as I possibly can. It takes Macy and the Mark and Macy show to get me inside, but I need to do a setup like you and get outside for this. So you two are like old friends now. You've known each other for like 5 hours,
just about right.
It's been 3 days. So I'll let Macy take this away, and then I got to jump in, because if she doesn't ask the right questions, I got to find out all about this, because I looked at it, Phil, today. It is very cool. I already have my profile set up. I'm ready to go.
I found you in there. Very exciting.
All right. So Phil, first of all, why don't you tell everyone what this new up-and-coming, I guess, app you can call it, which I think is going to become something bigger than an app. So give a little bit of a breakdown and some of the things great features you told me about it today.
So what Fan Media is we're an independent media company, and I'll give you the quick elevator pitch. What we're doing is we're building a network of iPhone video correspondence through competition and viewer voting for the top 200 pro and college sports teams. So what does that mean? So you go to a sporting event, and everyone is on their phone nowadays. You're taking pictures, you're taking videos. There's a picture of it was American Pharoah when the horse won the Triple Crown. Everyone was out there with their phone, taking a picture, taking a video. There's a famous photo that has all of that. And what we've done is we've created a platform for fans where they can upload up to 30 seconds of just raw iPhone footage into our app of them talking about news, commentary, criticism, humor, anything of the like that. They upload it into the app, and whatever team they're talking about, they can tag that individual team, and fans can see what others are saying about that. So it's a very cool, organized way for sports fans to interact. We're sports social media in a sense.
Okay, so
go ahead. I don't mean to jump in. It's your deal. Go to it.
So when someone submits that, is that something that gets watched or looked over or approved before it really gets posted on the site? Because, people are willing to post anything nowadays.
Yeah, we have. So when you post it, it pops up. There's no kind of middle ground. We as admins, we can filter and we can flag videos that we deem inappropriate. If someone's cussing away or showing stuff they shouldn't be doing, we can go ahead and censor that. But we have a voting system. So good videos can be voted up, and you have to vote after you watch a video. You have to vote it up, vote it down. Good videos will go to the top, and so people will see on their feeds the good stuff, and the bad ones will all, kind of drift down to the bottom. So there's an incentive to go and to make good videos to, increase your popularity and your exposure.
Did I happen to hear the top 200 teams? So Macy doesn't get Penn State. Is that the deal? She doesn't get. I'm just.
No, we do. We have all the MLB, MLS, NBA, NHL, and NFL, and then about 80 or so colleges, most of the Division I FBS schools, and then we have some smaller schools as well that all have channels in our app.
So dumb question here, but kind of be fair with this one. How's the response been? How are you getting the name out there? And how are you making contact with people to get this? A lot of people have great ideas, but they can't market it, get it known, and get it out there.
So how are we, kind of telling people about it? How are we spreading the word? Couple different things right now. We search on other social media sites like Twitter for influencers. That's how I found Macy. I was going through demo reels, came across her. I'm like, wow, we can work with this girl, despite what Mark says. I'm like, she's got a good on camera presence. So
maybe you're gonna have better luck than me, Phil.
Who knows, man? So we reach out for different people. We look for three types of people that want to be involved in the app. We look for people that just want to be fans, that want to go in, want to talk sports. You go to a game, kind of shoot some crowd, what's going on. We look for trained journalists, people that have a background in media and broadcasting, where they can go and create videos and help with their demo reel and their exposure. And we also look for former athletes. people that play the games at, high school level or high levels, those who have an insight and a background with the individual sport who can provide, great commentary on what is going on. So we've been reaching out. A lot of people are kind of confused at first as to what's going on. We deal strictly with videos. A lot of companies are bloggers. It's all typing and texting, and we're all face to face, which is kind of unique, kind of individual, because we believe that nothing against blogging, but anyone can blog. We want to get people get their faces out there and really just talk sports and face to face and all that.
What I think is really cool about this is you look at Facebook or Snapchat or Twitter, and people are always posting funny sports videos or trick shots.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at Dude Perfect. Dude Perfect created something off of a YouTube channel that now has their own show on CMT. And I feel that this gives them the platform to post those videos. So whether it's some kind of cool trick shot like Russell Wilson throwing the football into a, motorized cart, which I saw on there, which was so funny, to someone being a fan and their reactions about waiting for the Capitals game to start and freaking out. There's just so many cool things, and it's really a way for people to get their videos out there, whether you're, like you said, professional or just being a fan or a former athlete. And I think it's genius. The platform, it's basically saying, let's put everyone together, and with the either liking it or not liking it when it's over, it doesn't get better than that.
Yeah,
I'm going to be
No, I'm glad you're excited about it. It gets me excited. So the idea is we don't need more of like the ESPN, Fox Sports talking heads. The suit and tie, the fancy dress. We're giving you the news, giving you the sports. The beauty of fan media is you can make it your own. You can run with it. You can make it your own style, and really show off your personality, which we as working in the company, that's really cool to see people take it and, I said, just kind of run with it. And it's funny that you mentioned other social media sites like Snapchat, Facebook, and Twitter. All of those other platforms are all what we call closed networks, meaning you have to either be following them or friends with them to see news. So Fan Media is one of the first companies that everything is open. We're one, you don't have to be following someone in order to see their videos, because we believe that sports fans don't hide. I told Macy earlier this morning, Mark, that I live in DFW, but I grew up in Anaheim. So I am a diehard Angels fan, love them to death. And the Rangers play 20 minutes down the street. So I wear my shirts, I wear all my stuff, pisses everyone off. I love it though, because what can you say? So that's what we try to tap into. Sports fans don't hide. We believe if you want to talk to someone, go for it. We do have a couple of different features. We are sports social media, so we have a message feature as well. You can talk to other sports fans. You can search for sports fans in your area. But if someone is, getting a little too fresh, or someone's talking too much smack, you can block them and take that problem away. So we're open, but you can still get rid of people that you may not be, getting along with, if that makes sense.
Phil, I am trying to come up with something that you didn't think of, and I'm just not doing it. I'm just not coming up with it. This is great. So any particular teams that have taken off early on this?
So we're based in Dallas. So we actually had a deal with the Dallas Mavericks at the start of the preseason, where we had fans make videos about the Mavs, giving, like I said, humor, commentary, criticism, highlights, and we had a competition. And the winner of this competition actually got special access to the Dallas Mavericks for the first one of the first home games of the year. They got to go backstage. They met one of the head marketing directors. They made a video about the starting lineup and got hooked up with some sweet gear. So the Mavericks, a lot of videos about the Rangers. Let's see. I have a lot of friends in California. So USC, the Lakers, all of those teams have also kind of run with it. I'm a TCU guy, go Frogs. I graduated from there about a year ago. So lots of TCU stuff as well. So right now, North Texas. But recently, we've also had a few college students that have reached out to us, and we've actually made our platform an internship for them to make videos and to get credit for covering sports. And they've been covering the Nationals, the Capitals, the Baltimore Orioles. So it's been fun. We started out pretty small. We've been in the App Store for about a year, so still relatively new, but we're really starting to grow, and it's getting pretty exciting.
Phil, I think I'm in line for a kickback already. Like, Macy told me about this afternoon, and I was already around the office telling people about it, going, go look at this. Go look at this. This is really cool. And awesome. The other thing about it is so the crowdfunding, you kind of touched on that. How does that exactly work? Because I looked at it a little bit, but didn't quite gather that.
Yeah, that's quite all right. So you can do three things. You can compete for official status with fan media, which means that you are our official correspondent. You're our go-to for an individual team. You can connect with other sports fans. I kind of hinted on that. And then you can crowdfund, like what you're getting to. So say you have a goal in mind. Like you want to go, like for me, like let's go to Fenway and watch the Red Sox play. I need a new iPhone to make better videos, anything along those lines. You can go and set up a crowdfunding campaign very similar to GoFundMe or some of those other things, or some of the other platforms, excuse me. And people can actually tip you for your videos. So you go in, you set a goal, you make a video explaining your goal, you set different perks for your funders. Say, hey, if you give me $20, I'll give you a shout out on my next video. Or if you give me the most amount, I'll bring you like a jersey or a signed baseball or something like that. So people have an incentive to really kind of help you out with your goal. That's a feature that you don't have to do. It's available if you want to use it. But that's how we can tell people, hey, you can make videos and make money. And so it's another incentive to make good stuff. But that's, like I said, if you have a goal, a dream, something that you really want to do, people can pitch in and help out with that.
Phil, it's awesome. You're welcome anytime to jump on here and we can talk some sports and mix it up and check in and see how the platform's going. Otherwise, you will see me on there as long as you've got the ability for me to switch out my photo. I did it. I locked it in and I'm like, no, I want to go somewhere else with this.
If you change it, you absolutely can.
Okay.
Oh yeah, no, that's not locked in. No. Y'all are both freaking out about this. No, it's quite all right. And this is my first time on Blab. I'm a radio guy. I don't really want to put this out on the air. This is kind of a game changer to put the
Don't
face out
sell
there,
yourself
so.
short, Phil. Come on now.
I can talk all day, but getting in front of a camera is a little different. But it's very cool. I was listening to y'all earlier. I might jump off camera, but I'll definitely hang around and listen, and I'll comment as well. So appreciate y'all having me. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, thank you. I mean, all of this has been less than 24 hours since I even found out about this. And I am already, like Mark said, telling people left and right. It's just such a cool thing. And it's something that I'm really looking forward to joining in on and learning more about. And of course, there's going to be learning curves, whether there's going to be, all that kind of stuff. But it only makes you a better person at the end of the day. So I'm totally interested. Thank you so much for sharing this with us. We are definitely going to use it. I'm sure I'll talk about it on here on any of our shows. So anytime any of your group wants to jump on, we'd be more than happy to have you. And we're excited to see where this goes.
Awesome.
Phil Taylor.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it, y'all.
Thanks so much for stopping by, Phil. Appreciate it, man.
Absolutely. Y'all have a good one.
All right. Now we're going to talk a little NFL draft. Of course, it's coming up next Thursday, 1 week from tonight. We've got two callers on the line, one actually an official guest. So if you just jumped on, and there was somebody who jumped on 2 or 3 times to try to make a call and connect with us. So after the NFL draft discussion, we invite you to come back, make your question or comment. But we're going to talk a little NFL draft right now with Rick Serritella. Joins us from NFL Draft Bible. So Rick and I cut a segment a couple of weeks ago on the New York Giants. How you doing, Rick?
Hey, got draft fever over here in the draft cave, getting ready to hit the red carpet up in Chi-Town next week. Appreciate you having me.
For as much as Macy and I both love the NFL draft, we have to be very honest with you, and I will speak for Macy since she told me this afternoon. We're a little bit behind. I tend to go with what's going on like right now. So Thursday night, I will be surrounded by laptops and I'll be locked in and I'll be with the picks. And obviously we talked about it a couple of weeks ago, Rick. I love college football. There's nobody coming off the board like in 5 rounds that I'm not going to know and have a scouting report up here on. So I'll be locked in. But in terms of setting us up right now, we are going to leave it up to you. So I think the big news of the last week has obviously been Rams-Titans trade, and then more recently, the Browns. And you always have to question what the Cleveland Browns are going to do. But I think it's a good value trade for them with trading the number 2 pick with the Eagles and dropping down 6 spots and then picking up all those selections. I think it's a good trade. But now it's up to the Browns to actually make good selections with those picks.
I mean, if you believe in RG3, it's a good trade. Yes. You don't get a chance to pick a franchise quarterback every so often. I know you want to chime in. Go ahead now.
Yeah, I'm going to chime in because it's not faith in RG3. It's believing that when you're a 3-13 football team, that you need not just quantity garbage to fill up the 53-man roster. I'm not talking about 5th and 6th and 7th round picks. I'm talking about getting a 1st and 2nd next year. I'm talking about extra picks in the 3rd and 4th this year. I think you need quality players now. And I'm going to make this little friendly wager with you, Rick, that 5 years from now, either Connor Cook, Christian Hackenberg, or one of those other quarterbacks that's going to be drafted a little bit lower in the draft, one of them is going to outperform either Jared Goff or Carson Wentz. That's what the probabilities say.
Yeah, the probability says that, but also the probability says that, the most likely of having success at the quarterback position, if you take a look at it, the quarterbacks picked after number 12 traditionally don't enjoy much success. And there's a reason for that. You don't have many opportunities to pick a quarterback at the top of the draft. The Cleveland Browns have whiffed quite a few times. And now, quite honestly, if RG3 doesn't pan out, when is the next chance you're going to get to pick one or two? When's the next chance you're going to get an opportunity at a franchise quarterback? And not only that, Mark, you got your finger on the pulse with college football as much as anybody. If I'm looking at the college football game and trying to pick out a franchise quarterback in the next year or two, if RG3 doesn't pan out and I'm in this position next year, do I feel good about Deshaun Watson? Do I feel good about Chad Kelly? Right now, I feel pretty good about Carson Wentz. So, while you might trade back and get a good player, getting a franchise quarterback is a rare opportunity. So it remains to be seen. Hey, if Carson Wentz goes number 2 and leads his team into the Super Bowl in the next 5 years, it's going to look like a terrible trade for the Browns. And I go back to, Phil Simms, Morehead State, Ben Roethlisberger, Miami, Ohio, Joe Flacco, Delaware. All these guys led their team to the Super Bowl within the first 5 years. And you got teams paying $18 million a year for Brock Osweiler, Sam Bradford. Are you kidding me? Give me Carson Wentz. Lock and load. Let's go.
Okay. You love Carson Wentz. You don't like the thinner Jared Goff. Might get hurt.
Yeah, just like he separated his shoulder. We saw that once before. And, if I'm the Philadelphia Eagles, I traded up for Jared Goff. Boy, they're in for a shock because they already have Jared Goff on the roster. His name's Sam Bradford. Same build, same frame, same type of injury. Every time this guy gets driven into the turf, I got to hold my breath as a fan. So, the Eagles, Howie Roseman has a lot of assets all of a sudden into the quarterback position. Talk about Chase Daniels, $7 million a year. Sam Bradford, $18 million a year. Now I just gave up a boatload of picks to draft another quarterback. There's other positions on the roster, like you said.
Rick, it took a little time, but we finally agreed on something. We found some common ground because for me, Jared Goff, he may turn out to be a really solid quarterback, but he's kind of maxed out in regards to the arm strength's good. It's not prolific. It's not great. It's not Hall of Fame arm strength. Slight build. That's always a concern. Cerebral quarterback. I think he's going to be decent in this league, but not great. Rick Macy, this is the first time you two were talking, and I know you're fully both entrenched in the NFC East. So take it away.
So I guess my question for you as a New York Giants football fan, where are the Giants looking to draft this year? We have Ben McAdoo in, and no one's really seen too much or heard too much from Ben McAdoo and what kind of head coach he's going to actually be. So where do you think he will draft and what he will draft? Because I think that's going to say a lot about where this team is heading.
Well, first off, Ben McAdoo's, stepping his game up. He came over from Green Bay. First press conference, had the, too big suit. Second press conference, found himself in New York Taylor. Got it right for the combine. He was looking sharp. And I think the Giants are going to adjust as Ben McAdoo adjusts. He's still learning. It's the second year of their offense. They spent a lot of money on the defensive side of the ball. So, I think they might go offense with Ronnie Stanley if he's still available. I think Ronnie Stanley makes a lot of sense because you pair him with a guy like Eric Flowers. Now you got a pair of bookends to protect Eli Manning until he retires. But, honestly, Vernon Hargreaves is also appealing to me. I know they went defense in the offseason, but a lot of nickel and dime packages. Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie probably has a year or two. They signed Janoris Jenkins. But after that, their depth is really thin at the cornerback position. I think whether Hargrave starts or not, his value as a slot corner and then an eventual starter down the road could be a big value for the Giants in round one. So right now, Ronnie Stanley, if he's there, if not, it might be defense, Vernon Hargraves. That's where I would go if I was the Giants.
I agree with you. I mean, I think there's a lot of work to be done with the Giants. Still staying in the NFC East, the Redskins. Kirk Cousins, they win the NFC East. Surprisingly, not a bad season for them. I don't think in the beginning of the season most people would have predicted that. Who do you think they'll end up drafting, or what do they need the most?
You know, if I'm the Redskins, I want to surround Kirk Cousins with some more playmakers, because I feel like a lot of times he was, you know, while he made plays, he was more of kind of don't turn the ball over, manage the game. And I think he can take the next game and kind of elevate his level. So for me, you know, Pierre Garçon has kind of struggled with the injuries. Deshaun Jackson can blow the top off of defense. Maybe throw another playmaker in the mix. And all of a sudden now you got a conference with Tony Romo, Eli Manning. You can maybe win some of these shootouts and really take it to the next level. And on the defensive side of the ball, I think, you know, secondary is going to be a theme for them. I wouldn't be surprised if they use a couple of their early or mid-round picks on the secondary guys. And there's some good value at the cornerbacks. We talk cornerbacks. There's a couple guys, Xavier Howard, you know, second round even. The kid from Miami is a player, maybe might be there in the second round. And we talked about some slot cover corner guys, a guy like maybe Tavon Young from Temple, Cyrus Jones from Alabama, if they're looking to maybe cover somebody in that slot position in the second or third round.
And
hey, Rick, do you think go to it, Macy? Take over.
As for, I got to finish up the NFC East. For the Cowboys, do you think it's time that they finally maybe start to invest in a young quarterback to get someone maybe ready? Because Tony Romo doesn't seem like he's going to be around for too much longer. Injury always seems to be an issue. So is it time they finally invest in a quarterback and something to have to fall back on?
It's got to be a possibility, right? I mean, because when Romo went out last year, that team went down the tube. So Brandon Weeden obviously isn't the answer. We know that. So, you know, maybe not with the first round pick, but hey, come back in the second round and pick number 35. Maybe Connor Cook's there. Maybe Christian Hackenberg's there. Maybe you take a guy like Cardale Jones, who I think if you draft Cardale Jones in the middle of the rounds, 4 or 5, sit him behind Tony Romo, let him learn for 2-3 years, then all of a sudden you got a guy who could come in and really, I think that's going to be the way that the quarterbacks of the future, going back to the old school way of grooming a quarterback, a lot of these guys coming out, they're just not going to be ready, in my opinion. I think if you groom a guy like Cardale Jones is a perfect example. You let him sit and watch for 2-3 years from a guy like Eli Manning or Tony Romo, and then I think you kind of groom him to be the next guy. I think that would be a good bet for them.
Well, if you read Cardale Jones's Twitter, he doesn't like to learn. That's not really in his DNA, Rick. There's not a whole lot of learning there. He just goes out there in 12 gauge, just fires it off. So
yeah, he's got a loose cannon, and you know, he'll get on with the coaching program somewhere and put his face in a playbook and study some film. But you know, he has everything you ask for: size, arm. Really, I mean, if he just really develops his game a little bit more, maybe gets a little bit more consistent in the short and intermediate game, I think this is a guy with big upside, a guy that could be a big-time quarterback down the road.
And that's a Buckeye going to probably go in a little bit later rounds. You might squeeze 5 Ohio State players into that first round. What do you think, Rick?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, isn't it? Ohio State's dominating just like we saw Florida State dominate a couple years ago. So I think they have something like 11 guys who might be drafted overall. They have a handful of guys who are going to be out in Chicago. Looking forward to chatting with Joey Bosa and Eli Apple and all those guys. So, you know, even Michael Thomas is a dark horse first-round candidate. He might sneak in there. Keyshawn Johnson's, godson or whatever. But, you know, Ohio State definitely bringing in Darren Lee is a guy all of a sudden now you're hearing he might go in the top half of the first round after jumping through the gymnasium at the combine and putting up all kinds of crazy antenna. I mean, 4.40. I mean, 4.4 fast, we call it. But if I was over under, I put it at 4.5. Probably bet the over.
Please don't throw out bets to me, Rick. I'm going to be running for my laptop as soon as we get off here looking for prop bets. So I don't need that. Before I let you go, at least for me, Rick, what's that?
I got some good ones for you.
Sure you do. I don't need that. So again, before we let you go, at least on my side, anybody that we're hearing about that you think's a little overrated, maybe somebody else that's a sleeper that you think could get snatched up that you really like, that maybe a lower round guy?
Yeah, I mean, I think some guys that are going to get drafted higher than we're thinking is maybe a guy like Ryan Kelly from Alabama, the center, Keanu Neal, the safety from Florida. You're even hearing now TJ Green from Clemson could be a dark horse candidate to sneak into the first round. Raw, but you talk about size, speed, ratio, guy who can really deliver the hit. Might like to gamble a little bit too much and get burnt on the deep play, but a guy that can really come in and play immediately from day one. And Derrick Henry, I don't think he's getting enough love. I don't think he makes it into the first round, but if he gets to a team like the Carolina Panthers, Dallas Cowboys, I think he can really do some damage. In terms of guys that are being overrated, Shaq Lawson is a guy I'd be a little bit skeptical about just because one-year wonder, didn't really flash throughout the year, some inconsistencies there. Jared Goff, to me, I take a look at 151 passes deflected at the line of scrimmage over the last 3 years, 23 fumbles, 50 sacks, 30 interceptions. To me, I add all that up. Like I said, I love Carson Wentz, 40 pounds heavier, about 1.5 inches bigger hand size, and just a player. I like a guy who's loosey-goosey. Joe Montana, hey, there's John Candy in the stands in the Super Bowl. That's Carson Wentz. Jared Goff, he's a little bit more standoffish to me, questioning the reporter, what's your hand size? How many fumbles did I have last year? Oh, I thought so. Even watching Steve Mariucci in Game Changers. Little tight there, I don't like him in the big market. If he struggles early, I could see him maybe his confidence being shaken, and you take a Cali guy and you put him in an East Coast market, that could be a combustible type of situation there. But looks like Goff is going to go to the Rams, stay on the West Coast, but anything's possible at this point. They could take Wentz 1. Goff could go to the Eagles at number 2. It's a free-for-all, and it could be like 1999 where 3 quarterbacks went with the first 3 picks. You could see a team trade up to number 3 and take Paxton Lynch. That's a possibility too. You want a quarterback these days, you got to overpay.
Yeah, we've been beating up Jared Goff here a little bit too much. I'm going to balance it out before we let you go, because Jared Goff, you got to give the guy a little bit of cred. He took over in a Cal program as a true freshman, a 1-11 football team. That team had 0 talent along the offensive line. He got beat to shreds for about 1.5 years before Sonny Dykes surrounded him with a few playmakers and a couple guys that could at least chip block somebody to stay out of his face. So he had rough times at Cal early on. And my one draft tip for the night is do not draft Derrick Henry before the first 50 picks. No, he's not that good.
Hey, there's some talk that Kenyon Drake could go before Derrick Henry. So
draft him.
That's another thing. Hey, you saw the kick return ability in the national championship. That could be a game changer at the next level. But going to be a lot of interesting storylines. We'll be out there covering it all, and looking forward to appreciating chatting it up with you guys. And hopefully I'll be back.
All right, Rick Serritella from the NFL Draft Bible.
One more question, though.
Oh, Macy's got to keep this football talk going.
One more question. All right.
Yes.
So you mentioned his name a couple times, Christian Hackenberg. Where do you see someone like Christian Hackenberg going?
So for me, I think that one of the biggest surprises of the draft is going to be either Connor Cook or Christian Hackenberg going in the first round. I've always had a first-round grade on Christian Hackenberg. I think, ironically, his freshman film is just as good as anybody's single-season film of the quarterbacks in this year's draft. So I think it just takes one team, one owner, one coach, one GM to fall in love with you. I don't see how Christian Hackenberg doesn't go in the top 50. I think he goes in the back end of round 1. I think somebody trades up for him or Connor Cook. I like what the kid brings to the table. I think he's going to surprise some people. And again, if you talk about a guy like that who isn't expected to step in day one and start, and he gets a chance to develop behind a Carson Palmer, somebody like that for a couple of years, I mean, that could be a good way to go. I really like what Christian Hackenberg brings to the table. I think he might be one of the most underrated players in this year's draft.
And that's what I try to tell people. You know, once Bill O'Brien left, it was a different ballgame for Christian Hackenberg. And what people don't see is what Christian Hackenberg has gone through in the past 4 years. You know, he goes from one coach to another coach. And most people, a quarterback with that much talent, would have left. They would have been out at Penn State. He's got leadership. He's got the ability to work through problems. And he is able to handle situations in which, you know, most people couldn't. So I think that brings more to a team than just talent. But I'm still only seeing him with Bill O'Brien to really be successful.
Yeah, and, you know, that's the thing is, like, Bill O'Brien went and spent $18 million on Brock Osweiler when he clearly could have had that opportunity at Hackenberg. So that's now a very interesting storyline. But I look at when he had Bill O'Brien, when he had Allen Robinson throw the long ball. Now, the last 2 years, I mean, honestly, by the time he gets the ball, the defenders are in the backfield tackling him. So, I mean, he had less than 2 seconds to make a decision. He had no playmakers, no help, and an offense that just really didn't suit his skill set at all. Just talk about a backward system for a talented guy. I mean, it brings me back to CYO where, you know, I clearly was the best shooter on the team, but they wanted me to play this team concept and pass the ball around. I think they took the ball out of Christian Hackenberg's hands, and they paid for it. But, you know, next level, he's going to get with a good coach and really do some good things, I believe. And, you know, Arizona, the quarterback whisperer, Bruce Arians, get him with a guy like that, there's no doubt in my mind he'll have success at the next level.
Yeah, Hackenberg, I was extremely impressed with what he did as a freshman with a depleted roster based on the scholarship reductions against much better teams in the Big Ten. They go 8-4 for a team that was supposed to win 2 or 3 or 4 ball games. It was extremely impressive out of the chute. Things went sour, and you talked about the offensive line issues. It got so bad last year that like 2 weeks before the opener against Central Florida, they're pulling defensive linemen to the offensive side to play and start for the offensive line for Penn State. And that's just scholarship reductions. That's not bad recruiting. The roster was just partially gutted. I do think he had some decent weapons in the last few years with Geno Lewis, Deshaun Hamilton, and Chris Godwin, and it would have been nice to see him stick around with Saquon Barkley in the backfield for a year or two. But, yeah, I've always been a Hackenberg fan. I would say that the rumors are somewhat in the Goff range, Rick, that Hackenberg has some leadership issues, blames his teammates, doesn't want to take accountability. I hear that. I don't know if it means anything. I don't know if it's true. I've heard that. Everybody's going to have a knock. These kids get so dissected between the combine and the Wonderlic and everything that they've got to go through. Everybody's got a weakness or 10 or 12. So I'm not concerned with it. I think he's going to be have a shot to be a decent NFL quarterback.
Yeah, and, you know, I mean, he had an interview somewhere where he came out and said, you know, his words, not mine, it would be asinine for him to blame James Franklin for his struggles the past couple seasons, which is kind of what you heard coming out of the combine. You know, the interviews, maybe he threw James Franklin under the bus. Maybe he didn't. It is smokescreen season. I have a little bit of a lighting situation going on, so you might not see the smoke coming out. But it is smokescreen season in the NFL draft. And, you know, Miles Jack is another guy that came out today and said, you know, hey, people are talking about my knee didn't come back so well at the combine recheck. It's like, I feel fine. He's like, if you hear differently, that's a team putting out a smokescreen. Now, do we know that if that's true or not? We don't have access to the medical records. So, you know, it's his word against a source. But until a doctor comes out and says, hey, he's okay, that's another interesting storyline to watch because everybody thought he was a consensus top 5 guy. We talked about the Giants earlier. Boy, they haven't had a playmaking linebacker in a long time. Imagine if he slid all the way to number 10 when the Giants were picking. That would be fantastic.
Okay, Rick, unless Macy wants to ask you about Penn State's backup outside linebacker who's draft eligible like in 2018, I think we'll let you go.
Christian.
All right, well, you got the Saquon Barkley reference in there, so being from Jersey, that was good enough for me.
I'm here for you, Rick. We are here for you. Thanks so much for joining the show, Rick. Rick Serritella from NFL Draft Bible. Please join him there. This is his week. Leads up to the draft here. See you, Rick. He's like off into the distance. He's gone. All right. We did see a couple people that tried to call in. And, of course, we were talking to Phil Taylor, and then we were just talking to Rick about the NFL Draft. So if you'd like to join us before we sign off tonight, have anything to talk about regarding anything in sports that's going on right now, please jump on board. Otherwise, how's that fantasy baseball team looking?
It's doing all right. I mean, I'm 0-2 right now, but, it's okay.
0-2. Okay, this is our third week. That's right. I mixed that up. Yeah. I thought it was our second week. Okay. No, all right. I'm only 1-1, and I'm losing this week. I can't be bragging, so I'm right.
Matters is when I play you. So
that's all that matters. Okay, we've got a caller coming in here, and of course, Preston. Let's be good, and let's talk. What you got for us, Preston? What's going on?
Question. I don't know if you guys have been. I was going to ask an NFL draft question. He was on, so I just jumped on. But I was going to ask you guys. Have you got a chance to evaluate Joey Bosa, defensive end of Ohio State? If you guys had an opinion on him, I'm in Tampa. The Bucs are 9th overall, and I just heard a first mock draft that he could slip to 9. I know that's could be wishful thinking, but with all these quarterbacks in the top taken, that it's possible he could slip. And 2 questions: do you think he would slip? And B, do you like Joey Bosa? Because I told a friend of mine, and they said I think he got busted for drugs in college. So I was just curious your guys' opinion on that.
Okay, Joey Bosa. I've seen him play once or twice, or 25 or 45 times. Yeah, I've watched a lot of Joey Bosa over his career at Ohio State. So here's my thought, Preston. You're not going to get a superstar. I don't think he has that kind of explosive athleticism to be a great player in this league. He's got a motor that doesn't stop. He's a hard worker, but he's pretty much maxed out his athletic ability. So he doesn't necessarily... Generally, if you size him up against the DNs that have been explosive guys off the edge that have made disruptive plays in the backfield in the last 5 or 10 years in the NFL, his measurables in the combine do not come close to those guys, except for one guy I've heard and seen the measurables that racked up pretty well with a Terrell Suggs. They're very comparable there. But this kid shows up and plays. He makes big plays in huge games. And from the time he was a freshman, he was a disruptor in the backfield. And obviously, as you well know from watching a ton of football, Preston, sometimes when somebody has a huge year along the defensive front, then the next year the stats deteriorate and it's all double and triple team oriented. And that's what you got with Joey Bosa in his last year at Ohio State. So the stats aren't going to show what he was doing tying up blockers.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys. That was my only question.
Thanks, Preston. Thanks for jumping on, man.
Of course, an Ohio State question. We just had to balance out the whole Penn State Hackenberg talk, right?
Oh, did you have anything to say about Joey Bosa? I am sorry.
No, not at all. No.
I had good things to say about Penn State's wide receivers. I said very nice things about Christian Hackenberg. Did I not?
Yes, but you brought it up like it was like an irrelevant topic. Like Christian Hackenberg is a very relevant topic in this NFL draft. It's not like I was just doing it because I'm a quote unquote, according to you, Penn State homer. No, he is a good topic of conversation for this year's draft.
I hang my head in shame. I'm sorry.
And I do have to say, I just realized this. This will probably be the first NFL draft I don't watch.
Oh, you're not going to watch any of it? It's Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Thursday when it kicks off.
What's going on?
I'm going to Pearl Jam.
Oh, that's next Thursday night. Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a good time.
So, this is going to be the first NFL draft I don't watch. I don't know what I'm going to do.
You're going to be at Pearl Jam having a great time. You know that, so.
Yeah, but like, how do you not watch the NFL draft? You know?
Only the first round, though, on Thursday night.
Exactly. And the first round is like.
It's the most important.
The first round.
Sure.
I guess I'm gonna have to stream it on my phone. I guess that's what the internet's for, right?
Stream it during a concert?
Yeah.
Maybe on the ride home, depending if you have to drive or not.
No, I'll stream it at least.
Like you can catch up on it.
Right? I don't know.
That's what Knight Rider says. Watch the draft on your phone. And he's also giving you a 1-0 lead. I don't really get that. I get it, but I don't agree.
Well, Mark, I'm always right no matter what.
Yeah,
so.
learned that. I've learned that. All right. Yeah, NFL draft. See, I'm more of the blood and guts, like let's get to like the 4th round when nobody's watching, and I want to see what the Tennessee Titans are going to take with their 4th pick or whatever. So, yeah, I will watch as much as I can. I don't promise. Some of that depends on the weather. Sometimes I get good weather, and I'll watch it at like 2 o'clock in the morning on my DVR.
Not surprised. No, I agree with you. I mean, it's here and there. You know, if it's one of those drafts that everyone's talking about, there's some weekends you can forget that the NFL draft is even on because
people aren't talking about the NFL draft. So, well, see, this is where
sometimes people don't talk about it once you get into like Saturday, Sunday. People are.
I'm talking
really
about the NFL draft, but this is where it hurts you, Macy, being a huge sports fan all over the place. Because like on NFL draft weekend, baseball games, obviously, more important than that, if you're into the playoffs, NHL playoffs, NBA playoffs, you like have no idea which way to turn. Yeah, it's tough. It is tough.
Yeah, it's funny. I went to the Phillies Mets game on Tuesday night and posted a picture, from the game. And someone actually had the nerve to tweet at me, if you're such a hockey fan, why are you at a baseball game? Well, first of all, I had the tickets to this baseball game before, Rangers' schedule was set. If I knew it was that same night, like I probably wouldn't have gone. But, it's hard, but thank God for handy dandy cell phone. You can just watch anything right there and then.
Maybe I've lived life enough to where I'm so over the whole I'm a bigger fan than you and you should be here and you should be there. And maybe I've made those comments in the past. Maybe. I don't think so. But yeah, I've had life get in the way enough when I wanted to be somewhere in front of a TV, but I had other obligations and I had life I either wanted to do for whoever was involved in my life or just things come up. So, yeah.
Right. That's what I kind of said too. It's not like I knew the Rangers were going to get eliminated Tuesday night. I know they're going to play again tonight. So I'm going to see another game. It's not the end of, do or die right here. And the Mets were in Philadelphia. So, of course, I'm going to go see the Mets in Philadelphia when it's convenient for me. So, to whoever wanted to, say that was wrong of me for being at a Mets-Phillies game while Ranger playoff hockey is on, I understand, but this girl has priorities. The Mets are only here so many times a year.
Nothing to apologize
for. Sorry,
there.
dude.
Catch us up on the Rangers. What's going on there? Do you feel good about their chances?
Right. No, I think they're done, honestly. They're down 2-1 to the Penguins. They play right now, and then they play in Pittsburgh. They've just, it's been unfortunate calls. The refs seem to just be kind of all over the place, and it kind of just kills their vibe. And, I mean, even the other night, they were saying that MSG was almost silent, and if you don't have the fans and the crowd into it, then, that's the magic of playoff hockey is the fans and the arena and everything that's going on. If they're not all into it,
I'm going to switch gears because I've been meaning to kind of like nail this down for quite some time. Ever since we decided to have a fantasy baseball league, I think we should have a prize. And the only good prize I can come up with, because no, we are not like, I'm not cutting anyone $1,000 check or anything like that for a prize. I think that either we could have the winner of the league, unless it's one of the two of us, they could co-host a show with us, or they could co-host a show with one of us and kick the other one off if they'd like, which probably means that I get the week off. But what's that?
I was hoping
No,
vacation.
I don't think that's going to get you off the hook. I think you're locked in for that one. That would be my guess. But I just thought, maybe there should be something out there for our viewers to latch on to. But you give it some thought, because I can't make that call. I'm powerless. You're the commissioner.
No, I like it. I think that would be fun. I think it would be something different, spice it up a little bit. Let someone else run our show for 1 week. Hopefully not drive it all the way into the ground.
Let's not go that far.
No, I do think it would be really cool. I don't think there's too many times you get that opportunity to do something like that. And I know if I was competing in a league, I would want to win that as a prize. So I think
okay. So we don't even know really if anybody from our league is watching or will be watching the record, but we're throwing it out there that if you want to host a show and you win the league, then we're going to provide you with a little bit of an option. We'll find out. We'll figure out what that's going to look like to host a show at the end of the season if you win the Mark and Macy Show Fantasy Baseball League. So that's a big if. That is a big if.
No, I do want to ask you, going back into hockey, and I know you're not a big hockey fan, but this has been a topic that has been discussed all week. Recently, the Philadelphia Flyers, their fans, the past week, I'm sure you've heard it. They've been out of control. Yes? No?
Philadelphia,
am I the only one that's heard about this?
Hockey fans out of control. So in what way? You got to give me some actions. What are they doing that's out of control?
So Ed Snyder passed away. They did a moment of silence for him before the game. During that moment of silence, two fans had to yell out very inappropriate things to get the I guess crowd going, which I didn't think was appropriate. It's your owner, someone who started what you're there for. So that kind of kicked off the night. They also did light up wristbands, which they gave to every fan. So they do a couple different pregame things during intermission. Looks really cool in the stadium. What they ended up doing was throwing them onto the ice during the game because of bad calls, because of this. Then a player gets injured. He gets smashed head first into the boards. He's like, okay, he's functioning. They take him over to the bench. They're evaluating him. Then they start throwing their wristbands at the player while he's sitting on the bench getting evaluated. Then at this point, the Flyers are down like 6-1 with 7 minutes left, and everybody's out of that arena.
Okay, fan behavior at games, I think they should be able to do generally whatever they want within the confines of yelling, screaming just about anything other than, certain obscenities, but you suck, whatever they want to yell. Okay, when you're disrupting a ceremony for a deceased person, regardless of who that person is, obviously at a sporting event, it's going to be somebody prominent to the franchise. That's just out of 22,000 people. A handful of jerks. So are you asking me, should there be discipline involved? How do you find out who's doing all this stuff?
It's not even discipline, but as something as an organization, what kind of moves or something can you do? Because now your franchise is tagged as this. The Eagles have been tagged for throwing snowballs and batteries, especially at Santa. Like, that was so long ago, but it's something you remember. So now this is something that the Philadelphia Flyers are going to get remembered for, not for a great playoff run or even being in the playoffs, but for their fans and their disruptive behavior. It was listed as, one of the top 5 worst performances in sports ever. And, being for a team that has worked so hard to barely make the playoffs and to really earn that last spot, that's the last thing that you need to do as a fan to show your support for your organization. I don't even really consider that a fan. I think
the only 2 things that I can think of off the top of my head that have been fairly effective in regards to holding fans in check that act like jerks. I'll use that word rather than what's running through my head. So you could do one of two things. Either famous Cincinnati Bengals Cleveland Browns game back when Sam Weiss was the coach of the Cincinnati Bengals. I don't know if you've seen this. This was probably before your time, or you were crawling around somewhere. Anyway, so Cincinnati Bengals fans throwing snowballs. I forget what else they were doing, throwing batteries, throwing a lot of objects that could hurt people. And the refs had already penalized the Bengals a couple different times. Knight Rider remembers this incident. A couple 15-yard penalties, close football game, obviously hurting them. Sam Weiss goes over to the sideline, grabs the microphone at whatever was made available to him, because they figured this is the only way we can get this crowd under control. And he basically told them, hey, if you see anybody throwing stuff, bottles, batteries, you point them out to one of the officers, get them out of here. And then his punchline that everybody remembers is, you live in Cincinnati, you don't live in Cleveland. So that was I think that you have to basically speak to the fans that are respectful and speak to their pride to get the other fans out and say, help us point these people out, take some pride. You are made to look foolish because of a handful or a couple hundred people out of 20,000. So take control of it. You need to help us. And that's pretty much the only way that you can gain some kind of control and take the fans that are respectable and proud of the franchise and use them to help.
I mean, I've been trying to think too, like, what else can you do as an organization to, kind of hold back? And the only thing I could really think of was not open the tailgate lots. Keep that to a very time restricted type of thing. Alcohol plays a huge role in sporting events and, people just being absurd. So maybe open tailgating lots a little bit later, a little bit closer to game time, and maybe concessions don't get sold, as frequently throughout the stadium, or they stop a little bit sooner. I'm not really sure, but even, at the end of the day, after all of those, activities and everything that happened, with 7 minutes left in the game, I know you're down 6-1, but it's a playoff hockey and you leave. I mean, you would have thought there was a fire in that place. They were running so fast out of there, and it looked really, really bad for the organization. And it's not because it's the Flyers. That's any organization, and I think that's just really sad to see for a team that works so hard to get there. Your message as the fan is not being reciprocated back to the team and saying, hey, we're here to support you.
Macy, this is what's great. I'm watching you explain this situation. You're a Rangers fan. This is the Flyers. But just because you don't think this is right in sports, and you love sports, and you want things to be done the right way, and you want to see players play the right way and fans react the right way and with passion, but still with some class, I am because
hurt
by this.
It's not a good look. We look at the guests we had last week who were from Holland, and they talked about how nasty and the rivals and this and that. If they were rivals coming in, if they were Washington fans coming into Philadelphia and they were the ones pulling these kind of stunts, I would expect it. But I would not expect it from the home team against your own guys. And it just gives hockey such a bad look. And it kind of makes hockey fans, like, I know they're the fighters because you can fight in hockey, but it's just not a good look for the league, for the team, for anyone, and everyone around this Philadelphia area. That's all the buzz has been. And it's kind of disappointing to hear.
This is what I wonder, and it can't be proven. So it's election time, and we've had all the primaries for the most part. And this is one of my theories, that once somebody becomes a front runner, there are certain people who, even though they wanted to vote for somebody else, they see them falling behind in the poll and they jump ship. This person's not going to win, therefore I'm not going to vote for them anymore. And the polling skews the actual vote. So I'm going to relate that to this situation because I think, and this is impossible to be able to tell, but Philadelphia's got this reputation as being this rough, tough sports town. We act the worst. This is how we act. I wonder how much of that perpetuates more behavior like that we have to live up to a reputation.
Yeah, like I said, no one's going to remember them playing in the playoffs. They're going to remember their behavior, and maybe that's what they were going for. I don't think they had a meeting to decide that before, but I kind of think it's a monkey see, monkey do. One person starts one thing and it continues. I know the Rangers just at their game, they also gave out the light up wristbands. And the fact that they had to tell people, do not throw them onto the ice, do not do anything, like, these are not children attending games, I don't even think that should be something that has to be told at a professional sporting event. But, it's just a bad look for the league, and I hope it was just a one-game stint and, we don't see it anymore in hockey.
Yeah, we are going to see it, unfortunately. Maybe not to that extent, but at some point we're going to see it. It's just sports fans, and you hit upon the alcohol. That's obviously key to that. I don't know what the rules are at hockey games. In baseball, it's a seventh inning deal where obviously they're looking to gain a buffer of time before people are behind the wheel, and so that they can regulate that a little bit better. 1974, and no, I don't remember it well. Knight Rider might remember this. 10-cent beer night in Cleveland. You talk about an idiotic decision. 10-cent beer night, no limit in Cleveland. The stadium was trashed. People running all over the field. They couldn't continue the game. Players got hurt. They got in fights with the fans trying to leave the field, trying to get the heck out of there. It was just a disaster. Then another one of the famous ones in Chicago at Comiskey Park at a White Sox game. Disco demolition night. You bring your disco records. We hate disco. Bring your disco records, and we're going to burn them between games of a doubleheader in center field. And again, all hell broke loose, and it was just a disaster. And they ripped up the stadium, and they couldn't play the second game, and they actually had to move the rest of the series.
That's a little
Detroit.
Much, but my dad kind of
crazy.
He kind of said it jokingly, but last year when there were the riots in Baltimore, they put a full game with no one in the stands. There was no one there, So, if this gets back to Philadelphia, I understand It's a moneymaker and you want fans there, but if this is the kind of stuff that continues and we see it again and again over the next couple of years, maybe that's something you threaten them with, because there's no other option. You're not going to get people to stop drinking. You're not going to get people to stop being insane. I understand that there's passion, but there's a difference between passion and I can't even think of another word for what sometimes these fans.
See, Macy, you're actually you're suggesting something that makes a whole lot of sense in terms of for the greater good, but unfortunately in sports and in life and in business, the greater good usually doesn't win out, because what the thought is that we have 22,000 people paying an average of $120 per ticket, et cetera, and they spend this much concession, et cetera, and we're going to lose $8.7 million or whatever the figure is. It's not, we're going to, make a statement that is going to put this to rest and shut people's mouths, and this is going to slap people in the face and say,
I know it's a business,
right,
and of course money wins all, but it's still, maybe it's just something you threaten them with or something, because something has to be done, and it's not something that you can allow them to continue. Of course, the Flyers put out a statement saying, we don't acknowledge the behavior that happened, but hey, that guy that screamed absurd things, to his friends in this area, he's probably a hero, and that's not okay, because, oh, dude, my friend was the guy who said that. That's not okay. And that's what's happening, and it's just going to continue to happen. So, and that goes for any sport. I want to go there to enjoy a game. You want to go there to enjoy a game, not to, have insanity.
This actually could be your first video on, let me not screw it up, the Phil Taylor's network, Fan Radio Network, Fan Media Network, Thank you. Yeah, Phil's still with us. I'm sorry, Phil. Give me a few days to let it sink in. This could be your first. It could be a commentary on how you're supposed to act at a sporting event. What you just did, Macy, you put that together. That was beautiful. It was great. Great commentary.
Actually, it's from the heart. It's from the heart.
Yes, because, you can think and you've got...
Mark, could you imagine if you were at that Philadelphia game and you had, your son there when he was 10 years old? Could you imagine being a parent sitting there with a 10-year-old, taking your child to an NHL playoff game, probably their first game? That's got to be so exciting. I remember my first NHL playoff game. It was unlike anything other, better than my trip to Disney World, But imagine what it would be like to be a parent and to have your child next to you while all that's going on. How do you explain that?
I've had a couple incidents. I'm not going to say like that because on a grand scale, they weren't that crazy and out of control, but they were kind of isolated incidents at games where I had to say something to somebody and sometimes they listened to me and they actually kind of caught themselves. And other times they just were like, screw you, we'll do what we want. The first time I took my kids to the new Yankees stadium, we just decided like that morning, I'm like, let's go to a Yankees game. Let's go down there, see the new stadium. We hate the Yankees. Only game my kids have ever been to. I was so proud of them that, just like typical 8-10-year-old kids, we go to the ballpark. I've taken them to Colorado and San Diego and different parks, Philly, etc. And they want something, even though they're Indians fans, they want something from the various parks just to say, I was in DC and I got this from the Nationals. We're done with the Yankees game. And I said, you want to hit the gift shop? They were like, oh, we hate the Yankees. We don't want anything from here. It's great. So anyway, we're sitting in the right field stands and there was this commotion between Yankees fans and Blue Jays fans, and it just got worse and worse. And from everything I could tell, the Yankees or the Blue Jays fans, there were like 8 of them sitting with their Roy Halladay jerseys on and whoever else was playing, Edwin Encarnacion, and they were just getting beaten to death verbally by these Yankee fans. And then it got worse and worse. And as the beer consumption became more and more, it got worse and worse. And a number of people got thrown out of the game because the cops had to come and take care of things. So
you can't control it. You just hope people control themselves. But to have an entire game where there was just continuous action of behavior, and now with cell phones, everything is being put up there. There was a girl behind Pierre. They went to a live shot of Pierre. She's given the finger. Everything is getting noticed. Everything. And eventually you have to draw the line and say, hey, do I want my 6 seconds of fame or do I want to be a passionate sports fan? Yeah, she was taking a picture of something.
She was actually taking a selfie,
was probably a
wasn't
Capitals
she?
fan or a Capitals player right there on the bench.
Yeah. This is the Mark and Macy Show. We mix it up concerning sports every Wednesday or Thursday night. Yes, this is Thursday night, and I'm glad of that. I'm off tomorrow. Thursday night at about 6:45 Eastern time, and you can tell we love sports, so we can talk about it constantly. Knight Rider, thank you. Great show. We appreciate it. So again, please join us here. You can jump on board. You can make your comments on the side. You can jump in the seat and ask your questions, make your comments as well. But then we record. It's posted on our YouTube channel at Mark and Macy. And you can join us on our Twitter page, Mark and Macy Show. Also, our website, markandmacyshow.webs.com. Nailed it this time. All right.
Yes, it was great. I guess we'll figure out something for next week because we're not going to miss the big 2-1.
The big 2-1. And so you're out for Wednesday and Thursday night. We'll figure it out. So we'll let everybody know out there. Cool. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. You have a good one. We'll see you next week.